What I like in Buddhism is the basic idea of forgiveness, because nobody realizes how wonderful it is until they begin to develop some talent at actually doing it. Because the more you forgive, the less burdens you got to carry around with you. When you reach the point where you can forgive everybody, you're almost entirely free of burdens. What's important to me at this point in my life? Making really sure that I have forgiven anybody who's ever hurt me or seemed to be an enemy. Or making sure I have nothing but forgiveness for everything. Yeah, I think it's a very liberating experience to realize how little you really know and how much of the time you're just guessing. One thing that makes forgiveness easier, and believe me, life without forgiveness ain't worth living. Also, it keeps you from acting like too much of a damn fool if you're not really sure. People who are really sure all act like damn fools at least half of the time. Maybe more than that. I haven't really studied the matter that closely. I'll have to think some more about that. How often does being sure about everything make you act like a damn fool? Probably about 90% of the time, and that's what's wrong with the planet. I am now going to commit a federal crime. You want to see a federal crime committed? Yeah. This is a pain pill provided by the Women's Alliance for Medical Marijuana. Keeps my legs from hurting me too much.
Tell me why you're here today and what you hope to achieve.
Well, in the first place, I hope to get my medicine so my leg won't go on hurting the way it's been since they cut off my supply. That is the most important, immediate, existential fact. I am in pain. I want medicine. The second reason I'm here is I happen to believe in states' rights. I believe in the 10th Amendment, which most people have never heard of. If you look in the back of your dictionary, you find a document called the U.S. Constitution. It has nothing to do with the way this government is operating under George Bush, but it's the way it's supposed to operate. And the 10th Amendment says all powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now the state of California and the people of California are behind me. The federal government has no right to condemn me to a life of constant pain, which is what they're trying to do. I don't know what kind of sadistic son of a bitch George Bush is, why he wants to leave people in pain like this, but I don't approve of it, I don't like it, and I'm ready to fight for my right to be free of pain. If you're going to be in pain most of the day, you're not going to enjoy your life much. And George Bush insists that God has appointed him to ensure that I spend the rest of my life in pain without any relief. And I say, fuck you, George Bush, you should have these pains in your goddamn life. I know it doesn't sound very, I'm a Buddhist most of the time, but today I'm too angry to be a Buddhist. I'll get back to being a Buddhist tomorrow.
Anything else you want to add? Any final thoughts today?
Yeah, I'm sorry for my bitterness against George Bush. He is equally empty, equally blessed, and equally a coming Buddha. The trouble is the asshole doesn't know it. Okay.
I'd like to introduce Robert Anton Wilson, 72, who has post-polio syndrome. That can speak.
I am indeed Robert Anton Wilson, and I do indeed have post-polio syndrome, but I am not 72, I am only 70. And I will go get my medicine after saying I like that sign. I will pick up my medicine after saying I like it. Of all the signs out there, the one I like best is the one telling the government to read the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment says that all powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Nowhere does it say that a goddamn czar will be in charge of my medical care and interfere between me and my doctor. Anybody in Philadelphia in the 18th century suggested putting something like that in the Constitution would have been considered a raving lunatic. This Constitution was not created to establish a czarist tyranny. It was established to create a free society.
Now I'd like to introduce Wayne Meyer.
My name is Wayne Meyer. I've been HIV positive 18 years, and I've had AIDS for 8 years.
I think my writing comes out of anger and optimism. Anger at the stupid, maniacal, or corrupt crowd that's running the world at present, and optimistic about the opportunities that are so real. This, as I say, is the result of my outrage, my horror, my grief, and my anger at the way the world has been going lately, and my continued optimism that maybe enough people can wake up on time to change the direction we're going in. So I got both optimism and anger, which I think is a good mixture. It keeps me busy anyway. I have a lot of hope. I may be the last optimist left on the planet for all I know. But at the same time, I see really terrible problems and injustices and violence all over the place. I just think we're heading for a point at which that will no longer be viable. Somehow we're going to have to find a more decent form of society if we're going to survive at all.
You can only write about what has impinged upon your nervous system strongly enough to leave a powerful imprint. And when I was 12 years old, they opened the Nazi annihilation camps. I think it's a very vulnerable age for imprints. I grew up feeling I was living in a race of monsters. And I've lived all through the Cold War, the Vietnam War, and a lot of other tragedies, personal and otherwise. And I can't write fiction without violence in it, because violence is so much part of the world I've lived in.
It's obvious they're getting closer and closer to the edge where they can cure anything. Meanwhile, the world is moving closer and closer to the edge where they can kill us all. It's very interesting. Science is going in one direction and the politics is going in the other. I'm still an optimist. I think eventually people give up doing stupid things. It's like walking into a wall over and over. Eventually you start looking for the door and you do something intelligent. The human race has to do something intelligent in the next 10 to 20 years, and it just can't go on screwing up everything.
We're living among infinite possibilities, and the prevalent philosophies of postmodernist pessimism that come out of the universities are really a major tragedy. The opportunities for progress and change of a positive nature are absolutely tremendous. Anybody who tells you that we're running out of resources, we're in a terrible mess, they're idiots. We can't run out of resources. Resources exist when the human mind sees how to use something. To say we're running out of resources is like saying we're running out of brain cells.
I don't know why so many people spend so much time in a pessimistic reality tunnel. It's a miserable place to live. But some people feel if they leave it, they feel guilty. If you're not in a pessimistic tunnel, you're not responsible. But once I got out of it, I never wanted to go back into it again.
As far as I know, I'm the only survivor of the 60s who was just as angry and just as optimistic as I was then. Besides, until I die, I might as well be optimistic. Every day you got choices to make, and the more optimistic you feel, the more likely you are to make charitable and kindly choices rather than angry and bitter ones. If you want to be the most depressed person in the world, get up every morning, remind yourself George Bush is still in the White House, and then listen to CNN for a while, where you'll find out that American bombers are pounding another part of Afghanistan. If you think about George Bush and other gloomy things every day, eventually you get pessimistic enough that eventually you'll take an overdose of the sedatives your doctor gave you to control your depression. Then you'll be out of it. The main rule is do it every day. Want to become a concert pianist? Do it every day. Want to be a writer? Do it every day. Want to become depressed? Think of depressing thoughts every day. Want to become an optimist? Think of cheerful thoughts every day. Do it every day. I think over the course of my life, I have evolved from a basically rational person to a basically intuitive person, without completely losing my reason, I hope. And Intuitive people do tend to live in the future.